You know, after my sister had died, I was like, why? Why, God? Why is my life falling apart? You know, why couldn't I help save my sister's life? And I was struggling, and I was having a hard time dealing with it, shutting my emotions down, trying to help others still. And then my car broke down. Well, before that, I actually went to the hospital with my kidneys shutting down. I was having kidney failure because I wasn't eating and drinking properly. And then, about 3 to 2 days before my mother had died, my car broke down. And when my car broke down, I was like, why, God? Why are you punishing me? Why is my life falling apart? And even though my life was still better than my sister, but it was a struggle for me and my family with the loss of my sister, our loved one. So when my car broke down, I was just like, what else? You know what I mean? Why? What else? And then all of a sudden I got that phone call. My mom was put on life support. And then the breaking news the very next morning at 10:25, I get a call. My mother had died. And I went downhill. And I just shut down so much. And again, I kept asking why. What did I do to deserve all this heartache? How can somebody so positive and go out their way to try to help others be so cursed? That's how I was feeling. And I know I was being selfish. I know I was doing self-pity. But still, you know, the times that my life was together and then fell back apart, and I know I'd always bounce back, but I'm always like, why? Why? I don't understand these things. But I am blessed. You know, I got my ride and I found something I could do now. Got the insurance on my ride, and I am blessed. And I still struggle trying to understand why about my mother and about my sister, but I know I got to be strong and I got to keep moving on. I can't let them down. I can't let nobody down. You know, right up here back about when my son was maybe 6 months old, I used to come to this river, and back then I didn't even have my Dead Nuts movement yet, but I've always been a caring, loving, and outgoing person. And I had a heart. And I came down here one time and I seen this lady, this old lady living underneath the bridge. We used to call her tent lady, because this is where she lived. Right back over there is where she lived at. She had all this closed off with blankets all the way around, like her own little spot right there. And this place would flood out, and mosquitoes, you know, and I felt so bad for her one day. I went there and bought some food. I bought some batteries for a radio and for a flashlight, and I sat down with her, and we just talked. And she thanked me so much. But my whole life I knew that I was a compassionate person, and I always like to try to help folks in any way that I can. And that's what I'm trying to say. Even though my sister died and my mother had passed away and my car broke down and these cars keep driving over the bridge, that I know that I am still blessed. Because there are, and I know, there's nothing wrong with you having a hard time and you feel some kind of way for yourself. It's all right to do that. And people always telling you, oh, there's somebody else out there worse off than you. That is true, and we should feel blessed. But there's nothing wrong with reaching out to folks, you know, and letting them know that you're struggling. But back then, I knew I was blessed. I had a wife, I had kids, I had a roof over my head, I was making money, and I was living fat. Drinking beer, smoking reefer all the time back then. This is like 15 years ago. But still, I was blessed. And I felt bad for her. And one day, this place, it flooded out. The water was all the way up to the top of the bridge. All the way up there, it was going over the road. Now, nobody knows what happened to that lady. We don't know if she got flooded out, she got out in time. But I am blessed. And I just want to thank every single one of you guys for standing by me. And I'm going to get my positive vibes back. You know, one day at a time. That's all it takes. One day at a time. If we don't get any more cars going over, I want you to hear how peaceful this is. But I want to come down here and I want to go fishing this weekend. Because it's been a long time since I got out and did anything for myself. Almost busted my butt. That, my dear friends, is peaceful. Unless you almost bust your butt slipping on the mud. But still, I am blessed. Thank you guys for watching. I love y'all.